Actually, it's Tuesday, October 24th, shortly after market close, about 5:30 EST. And I just wanted to go over the PCRIs and give an update. Let me just scroll out here. So basically, what I said was for us to find a bottom, there's a couple things that can happen. We need to see this PC put call ratio roll over, and we'll get into what happened today shortly. That was one of the conditions or one of the options. The other one is we need to basically see this cross over here. So we call blue under orange, you could say. And then the other thing would be like a capitulation that's a lower, a divergent capitulation. And we sort of got two of them and maybe all three. So I'm hesitant because, well, you're always hesitant in the midst of selling, right? We have conditions that would um, generally provide a pretty solid bottom. So the first thing is you notice here we have basically capitulation, and then we had a lower price um, eventually, right, and then it rolled over. But I go by these spikes to the lows here, right? So we had a lower price, a lower closing price, and we had lower capitulation. So this was sort of like the initial panic, and then everybody sort of probably got long here, and then they swept those longs, just pulled the rug out from underneath them, right? The smart people basically were already positioned properly, so they didn't. They didn't need to panic, and they didn't buy a bunch here. They instead, because you could see, we never really got a strong um, put call reading to the call side, which is down here. So basically, what happened is, everybody gambled, bought this, and then the rug got pulled out, and then this is where you can see this rolled back over. So what we have here is we have a lower capitulation high and a lower price high, which leads to one condition suggesting that you could call that a capitulation low. Basically, smart guys were not panicking; everybody else was panicking, and so that's really how they buy this double bottom. And then we today, and really this week, we started to see this roll over, and it printed, and so now we basically have a lower low from, you go all the way back to August, okay, and that was the last near the last top. So we have the most calls on the books, or the least amount of hedges, however you want to look at it, the combination of the two, the ratio. Since the August top. And before you get excited and correlate being a top, the conditions going into that top where we were starting to roll up, we were doing the opposite, right? We had blue went above orange, all of this started rolling up in advance, and then that's when we knew it was time to sell. It's basically the opposite here. Price is going down, but this is all starting to roll over, and you can just see it. You can look at it. You can see we had a lower high here, so that's divergence. This is all divergent. This whole thing. So to me, that generates strong signal that this could be a nice place to buy. And if you missed 100 points, not even 142.40, if you missed 30 points, right? Like if you bought here and set this as your stop, it's not a big deal versus if you try to buy here and that's a lick fill and then we go back down or something to that effect. So I think it's a lower risk entry is what I would say. Um, we also have the blue crossed under orange. Okay, so that typically happens. You can see it happened here and then again, and that sort of generated this bottom. It was a short bottom, but if I come back, I have to go back a little bit further because we didn't really spend a lot of time above that range. So something like this, right, where we capitulated, came back down, and you can see that sort of formed this bottom. And I'm not saying we don't do something similar here where we come up, we fill in this liquidity, and we drop back down. I'm not making a judgment because we don't know what the positioning in 2, 3 months is going to look like. What I'm saying is it's very similar to this setup. Okay, and that's when you could have a double double bottom like we had here. This is sort of like a double double. It doesn't mean that we may not touch the lows again or the local lows, but we're within range, I think. So I think it's a very similar setup to here. And you can see everything started to break down, and really let's look at here. Yeah. We didn't get nearly as high in terms of the put call, so there was less hedging here, which is probably why this rug pull up here worked. But anyway, I don't want to get too far into that. What I'm saying is we have divergence here, we have the blue under the orange, and we have everything sort of rolling over on divergence across the board, which is the conditions that we want. Now, you could there's a question asked today, which is a good question. It shows you're all paying attention. Do we have like a 3 out of 4 sell signal? Well, we do have blue touching here. This isn't. This is sort of already crossed, and so when you have a little bit of a mess like that, I like to see perfection. I like to see them all touch at the same time. Okay, and even here, we didn't really. It was sort of like right around here. We got 3 touches. You can see the very top and then the bottom too. So I like to see touch. I know it's weird, but precision it matters. And so kind of touching on one, not touching, already have touched a day or two before. Like that matters. I don't, I don't want to get into the math, but it matters. And so, but again, the full sell setup isn't until this white line here comes all the way back down, right? So even if we sold, if we had a partial 3 out of 4 sell signal, it's still not going to be as dramatic as a full sell signal when we have a 4 out of 4. And really, this is the one that matters most. And we're not gonna. We've locked in these calls, and you can see in the past this has happened before where we've done like a little quick sweep of those. You know, trying to flush people out of those positions, and it's gone back up. And again, but you can see it's a sort of a choppy ride. But as long as the trend is this way, right? As long as this trend is down, that is bullish. And especially if we get down to here, and it's been a long time since we have. But if you see coming out of COVID, slowly started to trickle down, and then we just stuck here, right? And when you're living in this area, it's basically uptrend city. Okay, and you're going to have sell signals and stuff like that, but it's not going to be as big of a deal. As you can see, this was all basically into these lows, was all sort of uptrend on the put call ratio, which was problematic, and which is why we had such a persistent bear market, because this was all trending up. And now we've set lower highs and we're starting to trend back down. So I think it's a slow, gradual process of building out this base. I personally, again, I'm not going to put my name on it, but I'm more betting more on the side that the lows are in, and that this is going to set up the next rally. And I don't know how long it's going to take to get back to all-time highs. I'm not going to make that prediction, but I think we're just based on the cycles and everything else I've showed you, I'm less concerned about touching this October low than I am about like interim like swings, right? Getting those right and getting. So if you're going to buy, this is a good time. You can see we have support right here at like 41.90. This is SPX, by the way. We held that, so it's basically a breakout and a back test. I mean, that's exactly what you want. That's bull price action. And yeah, we have lower lows locally. We would like to, we'd like to take out this October high and build another higher local low, or gosh, a local higher high, and then eventually start to take this out. But in the grand scheme of things, we're not even close to the October lows. We're not even close to the March lows. So this to me is fairly healthy price action. You can't go up forever, so you go up and you consolidate, retest, and then you try and break out again. So that's where I'm at with this. I'm not saying we're not going to sell. We're not going to see any red days. I just think positioning is now locked here. And when you see that, when you start to see that, here's a moment where it happened. You can see it sort of happened around here. Like when you start to see that, especially at like near a low, that's a sign that people are buying. Like here in September 2022, that was basically at a spike. So that's a little bit different. So I want to see it. It's very similar to what we saw. If I just go back, you get the idea. I don't want to beat a dead horse. So for me, I lean. We're always cautious near lows and after a bout of selling, but we have divergence on some charts. We have divergence on the PCRIs. I'm going to take a look at breadth and some of those other charts later tonight or this week and give an update there. But that's where I'm at. If we're going to sell, we're going to see this come down. We're going to see all three of these indicators start to hover around this red line. If we see that, and if we can't get this to sink in and keep dropping, then that's maybe a problem. But we can address that on a day by day basis. So I hope that